Welcome to Charts Today. It is Tuesday, the 9th of June, and I am in Leipzig in Germany. I'm here training the European Energy Exchange tomorrow. And because I'm here trading energy, I've been doing a lot of work to put call out to clients this morning. Bearish crude oil, we're down 3%. But more importantly, we are, just as we speak, breaking to new lows. And we have got double activated downside targets there on Brent and on WTI. It's similar. We aren't making new lows there, but we are heading to lower levels, down nearly 4% there. Looking at the daily chart, this is the lowest price level that we've seen really since that point in 20th of April. So increasingly, this is looking a little bit like a double top, and that might mean some respite for markets if we can see the crude oil price falling as a result of everything that's going on in the Middle East. So really quite interesting there. Now, looking at the macro picture, we've got the dollar looking a little bit stronger there on the daily chart. If we go to the 60-minute chart, you can see we've hit this level, and we are just finding cloud support there. Looking at the euro, we can see here we had a downside target nearly met. And the other key thing is the Japanese yen, seeing some intervention from the Bank of Japan here. This 160 level is a key level for them. Now, I've talked about Bitcoin a bit in recent days. That is looking worrying, really breaking to new two-year lows, really. So really quite significant there on the Bitcoin chart. That downside target, we had a bit of a failed recovery, but we're coming back to that target of 54,500. We've been to 58,800. And if we look at the 60-minute chart, the 60-minute chart does show a bit of recovery, but remember that these targets are counter that bigger trend. So we would not be surprised to see them not met. So that's going to be really quite key. Market's looking quite strong today. We've got a recovery in the Nasdaq 100. Looking at the short-term chart, we did break below the cloud. We're back above on the lagging line. We're really testing this at the moment. The trend is coming under some pressure. But the downside target was met. We've got a new upside target. But the key thing is, will we be able to make a new high? That's going to be the real test. Up 1.3% in the cash market. We look at the S&P future. That's up 0.84%. This is the 60-minute chart, suggesting we're going back to the top of that sell-off. So that's going to be quite key. And the daily chart still looking very strong. The UK market down slightly today in the future, and the Dax in Germany, where I am at the moment, looking quite strong. And I'm going to have a look at some German stocks in a minute. We've already talked about Brent crude. Looking at gold, that's fairly flat today. We have got a new upside target there. Looking at the daily chart, we still do have this downward pressure for gold. And silver, not much better. Equally, we've just got that downside target there. Looking at the tech majors in the US, the Mag 7, we've got Amazon up, Apple down 3%. They had a presentation last night. So we're just seeing a little bit of respite, a bit falling back there. And if we look at the 60-minute chart, we can see they have broken below the cloud. Target not quite met is bearish confirmation. This $320 was just a move too far for Apple, and we are just seeing that playing through. Amazon, on the other hand, up 0.8%, but also below the 60-minute, and Alphabet also below the 60-minute. So we're seeing as a theme a lot of these charts below the 60-minute. Microsoft, is this a failed recovery from Microsoft? That's going to be the big question. We've got these upside targets, but we're seeing the price pull back. Meta, they are just up today, 2%. And again, if we look at the 60-minute chart, that isn't a great looking chart. Nvidia up 2.5%. Not looking great on the 60-minute chart, has to be said. Below the cloud with downside targets and failing to make a new high. That's a lower high. But if we look at the daily chart, of course, it's still pretty strong. But we do have the downside target. And Tesla Also, all eyes on SpaceX this week, so be interesting to see what impact that has on Tesla. Now, as I'm in Germany, I'm just going to go really through the DAX 40. So this Adidas, that's a nice recovery with an upside target after a long downtrend. Adidas starting to look better. The great thing is just without knowing about these charts, you just literally see we're waiting for an activation on Airbus. Allianz has been flat. If we break 400, that will be significant. We've got upside targets. BASF not looking so good, having got above a cloud. BMW, not all a good chart. Downside targets there. Bayer, also below the cloud. And really, it's all about, are we below the cloud? You see Beiersdorf below the cloud. So we are seeing, even though the DAX index is looking okay, we are seeing that's really Commerzbank just waiting to see if we can break this 38.50 level. Continental, AG, mixed targets, need a new high. A lot of these stocks, a bit like the DAX index, we're waiting to see new highs. Deutsche Bank, not so strong. Deutsche Post, looking better, has been pushing to new highs. This has got a mixed picture of DC boys. Deutsche Telekom, not at all looking good there. If we look at the chart, mixed picture and below the cloud. Aeon, strong in energy, obviously, but again, downside targets and below the cloud. Versus RWE, it's the interesting thing. RWE is a bit better, and that's above the cloud. Has had a very good run from 35 to 60. So really quite key there. Freshness. Potential recovery, but not yet above the cloud. Infineon has been one of the star performers. That's been really interesting. Mercedes-Benz, just love looking at these bellwether companies. Not a good looking chart, waiting to see if we activate to go lower. They have fallen from 63 down to 47, so it's quite a fall. Merck, upside targets, very similar to the US chart, is looking pretty strong. Porsche, and we can see here, like most of the other motor stocks, not looking at all good. Siemens Energy, that has been a pretty strong looking chart. And then if we look at Volkswagen, we're also seeing here that is just showing some weakness. So that's it for today. Sorry, Charts Today is a bit late today, but I was on a plane at 6 in the morning and then a train from Berlin to Leipzig. This is the first chance I've had to really record it. Tomorrow morning, I'll try and get it done before I go to the client. If not, it'll be in the afternoon again. Until then, bye for now.